Hey, you guys, how's things? Oh, everybody ready for Christmas? Yeah. Okay. So sometimes, you just find inspiration where it comes, and sometimes you hang on to things just knowing that one day, something's going to happen to inspire you to use those things. And um, so I've had this set of these Hawkins electrical guide books. They're actually like textbooks. I've had this set for, I don't know, quite a while, maybe a year. And these are some of my favorite books to use to make journals. There's a couple of different, Audell's is the other series that I really like, the really old ones. So these are just really, really cool books. Especially the pages, the the imagery, just all of the yummy kind of mechanical drawings and that kind of stuff. Lots of numbers, but also the covers. I just love the covers. They're real soft, kind of. It's like a fabric cover. But they're pretty old too. So yeah, like these are published in 1917. So these covers are really old and somewhat fragile. So they do take a little bit of work as far as repurposing them into journal covers to make them kind of sturdy. Anyway, so there's 8 of them in the series, in this particular set. And I just haven't, I don't know, I just haven't wanted to make them into journals yet. But Carla sent me some Happy Mail, and in that Happy Mail were these little keys and these little tiny, like skeleton keys. And so there just happens to be, well, there's 10 of them, but I don't know what happened today. I just went, oh, those would be cool to use on journals. So it was like, I can make these, these electrical guide books into journals, and I have enough keys that I can use one as a charm on each one. So it's kind of like they just sort of go together, Anyway, so the first thing, I thought I would just sort of take you guys through my process of turning these into relatively sturdy little book covers, and just talk to you about some of my thoughts on how to do that. So first thing, some of them were, the book block was kind of just falling out, and in others they're not, like, so the book block itself is actually glued into the spine, and so that makes it hard to salvage the spine on these types of books, especially when they're really old and fragile, and to try not to damage the spine. So I thought I would just I've already done some. I've gutted like 6 of them, but I thought I would just talk to you about how I went about removing the covers from the book blocks on these, basically gutting them. So first thing, the first thing I would recommend if you have a book like this is to just go ahead and tear out the first and the last page, just because that tends to make it easier to see the spine. A lot of times with other books I don't do that, but this just kind of makes it easier, since that paper is actually part of this paper, so it's just kind of exposing it, and then I'll just kind of push this push this part back just gently. I mean, you just have to be really patient and just be kind of gentle with it. You can kind of hear the glue breaking. You know, as this glue gets old, it gets really kind of brittle. And so, you know, you're just trying to kind of break that a little bit, just gently, just using my thumb, and, you know, I can hear it cracking and kind of pulling away just a little bit from the edge here. And I'm just trying to be really careful that I don't tear this fabric of the cover. So I can sort of start to see where it's exposing the where the glue is on the fabric. So I'm gonna just kind of slowly just start working my X-Acto knife into that spine, and mostly I'm just gonna work it off just by sort of pulling it away more than cutting it. But the X-Acto does come in handy. It does come in handy to just sort of pull this kind of layer of glue off of the fabric. So you can see it's kind of gently prying it off. Just work a little bit on the top and work a little bit on the bottom. I'm slowly pulling this, and then gently I really just don't want to rip the spine. So when I get to a part where it's just too stuck, I'll just go somewhere else. I'll just work in a different area rather than, you know, forcing it. Because sometimes when you get to the other side, it becomes easier to, you know, do that one section. So I'm just pulling this back just a little bit. If I have to, a lot of times the X-Acto won't cut this paper, even if it's really sharp. I'm not sure what the reason is, but sometimes it just won't cut the paper. I think it's just kind of maybe the moisture or something. I don't know. But so I'm just, really, it's kind of a fight, and just have to be really patient. And then there's that layer of book cloth that's on there too. So, I mean, it can be, you know, I definitely wanted to show you guys the struggle with doing this, because it would be really easy to just completely destroy these covers, and I really don't want to do that. So I'm just using my knife to just kind of gently cut in between that glue and the fabric. This one is particularly tough, I have to say. So let me see if I can just get in on this side a little bit better. Yeah, that's working a little bit better. I really don't want to tear this. I mean, if I do, it's not the end of the world. I can always, you know, patch it back together. Oh, there, I got a nice good chunk coming off. Okay, it's pretty much removed now, so I'm just gonna carefully angling my blade towards the paper. Try to cut the rest of that out. See, it's just hanging on by a thread, literally, right there. Okay, there we go. Finally. So I do want to try to use some of the pages, obviously, you know, from these books in the journals too. I have to be kind of picky about what paper I use in these because I can't put too much in there, you know. I have to be, because they're not too thick. They're not real thick journals. So then I'm just gonna cut away this excess paper here. And let's see if I can get this glue off of here. There we go. Got a fire going today. I'm sort of wishing that it would just dump some snow on us. It's like, it'll snow like a quarter of an inch and then it stops. Okay, so see, it's pretty thin. Like you can almost see the light through this fabric. It's really, really thin. You know, it's just been worn, and it is actually kind of like threadbare right along here. So basically what I want to do now, I would really like to be able to preserve any of the writing and stuff that's on the inside of these covers, but I think I'm going to have to cover it up just to help me with making these more stable. Okay, so what I like to do is basically just cover the whole inside of this cover with like a heavy duty like craft paper. But on the spine, since I'm trying to make sure that I can put as much paper in this as possible, I don't want to use that really thick paper on the actual spine. So I'm just going to use a little bit thinner craft paper. And this was just like a 6x6 little pad that I had. And it just happens to be the perfect height. So to make it easier to actually, you know, bend the cover, the front and back cover, I'm going to score this this piece, and each of these books is a different thickness. So so I can't just cut them all and then score them all at the same time. I sort of have to do each one separately. So what I'm doing is just marking the edge of that white paper. I can just see it right there on each side. So I'm just marking that. Now what I'm actually doing is making the spine slightly wider than it was originally by doing that, because it's just that fabric there. So I can kind of make it a little bit wider, actually significantly wider. So the actual cover, you know, was that wide, was, you know, like that, and I'm making it like that, like a little bit wider. It's actually about a ½ an inch wider, so that makes it easier for me to get more paper in it. And I can't find my little scoreboard that I used to have. I don't know what happened to it. Anyway, so I'm just lining this up on one of the notches. I'm not measuring anything. I'm just lining up my little dot. And then I'm making sure that this is straight along something as a guide on the other side there. And then same thing on this side. Just making sure that it's going straight up and down, and then scoring this paper. Okay, so that makes it just easier to, after I glue this in, it just makes it easier to bend the covers. Okay. So I always use like a PVA type glue. You could use Aleene's tacky glue because it dries flexible. You want to use some kind of glue that dries flexible. And then I'm just spreading with one of those little silicone brushes. I like these because I can just wipe it off with a baby wipe, and then I don't have to have a jar of water on my desk that kind of sits there and gets gross after a while because I forget to empty it. Anyway, so see, you can just wipe these off with a cloth, and let me wipe this off. Okay, and then I want to line this up, line those dots back up to the paper, scooch it up to the top. There we go. Okay, and then I'll use my little bone folder, smush it down, kind of going along that score line, and really, you know, pushing that glue and that paper down into the cover, and also like in that little crease line. Just kind of clean it up a little, and the little bit of dampness from the wet cloth, I think, helps the glue grab the paper a little bit more too, you know. Anyway, so see, that just makes it easier to bend it, and it makes sure that it's straight and that kind of stuff. So, and then I can kind of come in and just use my little burnisher. And then while it's still a little bit damp, I'll go ahead and bend those, you know, so they stay that way. So they'll stay, you know, scored and creased. Okay, and then I'm just going to cover I'm going to cover each side with some craft paper also. But this, I'm going to use a thicker, like much heavier craft paper. This is that craft paper that you get from Hobby Lobby. It's the extra heavy one, you know. So let's see, how long do I need to make this? So 6.5. Actually, yeah, we'll go this way. So 6.5. And I was measuring the width of this paper, not necessarily the cover. I want this paper to be slightly shorter than the actual cover, just a little bit. And then I want this to be, say, about 4.5. And we'll assume that the other side is the same. So I'll save these pieces and use them for something else. I have this giant box full of craft paper scraps. Okay, so then those are just going to get glued onto each side of the cover. Okay, so I've still got, you know, enough space there for the cover to bend. Come on. I haven't used this glue for a while, so it gets like gobby in the end. Again, with my little silicone brush. These are so nice. They're nice for painting too, but they're great for spreading glue. So I do like to use a sort of heavy glue for this, because I feel like the glue itself actually adds a little bit of strength to the cover. You know, it adds a little bit more like substance to it. I could, since I'm going to be doing some machine stitching on these covers also, I could just use a glue stick or something like that to glue this paper down, but I really want it to be, it's adding, like, it's making it more durable, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Okay. And then let's do this other side. Just adding some strength to this cover to make it more sturdy. A lot of times I use fabric to do this, but for these Adele's books, or these, you know, these like machinist books or electrical books, I like to use the craft paper. Actually, I should be using this guy to smooth it down. That one went in just a little bit, but it's going to be okay. It's not going to, it's not a huge deal. It was just like a millimeter inside the spine here, but it's okay. Not too bad. So see, that actually did make the spine a little bit wider, you know? Okay, and then I'm going to cover the inside of the cover with some fabric. I got this ticking fabric from Joann's, and it's almost like it's been starched or something. It's really stiff. It's like almost crunchy, you know, it's weird. But I thought it would be really cool to use this to make some pockets on the covers. So I was going to just, you know, do that and put some pockets, but I kind of wanted there to be some kind of interest on the rest of the cover. So I thought I would just cover the inside with some other, some of the red ticking cloth too. So just gonna, I don't necessarily have to measure this perfect. I just want to tear it. So it's slightly longer or slightly oversized, slightly larger than the cover. Okay. And then I'm going to trim it with my pinking shears. So these little wrinkles will work themselves out when I glue it down to the cover. So I'm not worried about those. And then I am going to use a glue stick. So this glue is that glue stick, in case anybody was, paying attention when I was talking about the last order of glue sticks that I got from Amazon. And this one is very similar to the Scotch Create glue sticks, where it's really thick and almost like slimy. It's hard to explain, but it's just got this really, really sticky kind of viscosity to it, and it works great for fabric. Anyway, so I'm just going to cover the whole inside of this with this glue. And I like this ticking cloth. This is the one that's like thinner. It's not really thick, heavy ticking fabric like this is. This one is a lot thicker. If you ever buy that at like Joann's or something, you'll see what I mean. There's one that's more like a duck cloth or like a canvas, and then this one is more just like fabric. It's like softer, like you would use for pillowcases. This one you would use maybe for mattresses or something, or for making something more durable, So we've added some extra paper to the spine, and we added another layer of paper on the covers, and now we're going to add a layer of fabric to the whole thing. So I turn this so it's like upside down on my desk, and then I'm going to just lay this down and try to line it up so that at least one side the stripes are going straight. And then I'm going to just kind of work these wrinkles out a little bit and use my bone folder to smooth this out, trying to be careful not to distort the lines on the fabric. I don't want the lines of the ticking to start going wobbly. This is kind of rounded on the edges, so it's really nice for smoothing out fabric and stuff. And then I want to make sure I get into those corners. Okay. So it's okay, like if it's lifting just a little bit, like in the corners and stuff like that, because I'm gonna be stitching around the edges anyway. Oh, I forgot something I have to do. Hold on, before this glue dries. Hold the phone. Okay, so I'm adding elastic to these onto the covers. So taking this just like 1/4 inch flat elastic. I got to do this quickly before the glue dries. I'm just giving myself about, I don't know, 1.5 inches on the top and bottom. And again, I need to measure this on each journal because some of those books are different widths. So, okay, and then I should have done this. I should have attached that before I put the craft paper on. Sorry, guys. but I'm not doing this again, so we'll just have to live with it. Anyway, so I'm just going to pull this up a little bit. I'm not putting it under the craft paper. I'm just putting it under the fabric. Okay. So I want it in maybe about an inch. Okay. Just get my elastic in there and then put that fabric back down. This is going to get stitched on the sewing machine. So that's going to actually hold it in place. Okay. And then I want to make sure that I have, you know, a little bit of give on the elastic, you know, because it's going to be that thick, right? So pull this back again. Let's see. This is hard to do now that I have the fabric on there. Okay, I'm just kind of eyeballing, and I'm going to actually cut about that much of the fabric or of the elastic off. And I want to make sure that this is straight. Like, I want the elastic to be in about an inch on both sides. So that looks pretty straight. Okay. And then push my fabric back down. Okay. So it's in place. Okay. But like I said, I am going to stitch around the border of this cover, and that's going to, and then I'll kind of, you know, go over that little section a couple times with the zigzag, and that'll hold that elastic in place nice and strong. Okay. And I actually kind of like having that little bit of edge of the ticking cloth kind of sticking out over the edge, you know. That's why I like to use the pinking shears when I cut that. So, okay. So that's the cover. And then this, I love this ticking. It's great for pockets because it's nice and stiff, you know. So I want to do a vertical pocket on the back cover and then a horizontal pocket on the front cover. So I just need to tear this to the right width. Let's see. Right there. And it's so stiff that you can actually like pinch it and kind of crease it. And then just cut a tiny little bit and then a little tear perfectly straight. It's pretty cool. And then the back, I need to cut the height same way. And then I'm going to make the back pocket a little bit, I don't want it that wide. So I'm just going to tear off like an inch, something like that. And then I'm actually going to just fold this in about 1 centimeter maybe. And that'll be the edge of the pocket. So this pocket will go like that. And then this one, same thing. I'm going to fold that down about 1 centimeter. And then this pocket will go like that. Okay. So let's grab the sewing machine. I'm using the newer Fashion Mate machine that I bought at Joann's a few months ago. And I have had people comment and say, you know, it's not good to stitch through book covers with the newer sewing machines and that kind of thing. And that might be true, you know. I guess, you know, it's your sewing machine. You do whatever you want with it. But I do it all the time, but I also know that my old vintage machines that are like solid, steel and iron and stuff, that those machines are a little bit more durable. They also have stronger motors in them. So, if you have a sewing machine and you're stitching through book covers, if you have like a newer machine like this, don't push it. Like if it's, if you feel like you're stressing your machine out, don't push it. And over time, like, if you're stitching hundreds and hundreds of book covers, you could break your machine down. Like it could wear it down, the motor. So just be aware of that. Anyway, so I'm just going to run a little zigzag along that that part that I folded over. Not bothering to back stitch because it's gonna get stitched again anyways. So I just did a little zigzag along that edge, and then same thing on the other pocket. Okay, and then I'm just going to push this kind of up out of the way for a minute. I hate when I have strings all over me. Okay, so this guy is going to go right here. I do need to trim this off just a tiny bit. I'm going to go ahead and just use the pinking shears right along the edge of the whole pocket. Just kind of give it that zigzaggy kind of look. Of course, I just made a giant mess. Here's the back. Now I'm going to switch back to, oops, sorry about the noise, guys. I know that was hard on the ears. I'm going to switch back to a straight stitch and lengthen my stitch length. Okay, I want it to be a little bit longer stitch. Okay, so I need to make sure that, I'm stitching this in the right place. So I'm not going to glue it down or anything like that. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it and make sure it's in the right position. And then run a straight stitch. Now I have a red thread in the bobbin, so that's going to give me red stitching on the front of my cover. And I did that intentionally. I wanted to have that red stitching show on the front of the cover. So anyway, so I am going to back stitch right along the front edge of that pocket. I'm stitching back and forth a couple times right where the pocket attaches. Okay, so I'm going to lay the other pocket in place now, so I can catch it as I go. And again, I'm going to back stitch along the top of the pocket a little bit. Okay, now when I get to where the elastic is, I'm going to actually take the elastic and flip it around to the front of the cover here, or the inside of the cover, so I can keep an eye on it, so I can see it. Okay, so when I get up to the, just stitch very slowly. When I get up to the, you can even turn it by hand. With the needle up, I'm going to switch this back to a zigzag. Okay, and then I'm just going to go back and forth across that elastic a couple times. Okay, and then with the needle up, go back to a straight stitch, lengthen my stitch just a little bit. It's kind of tedious, but that's what we're doing. Stitch down this side, and I'm holding the elastic out of the way, just without pulling it out. Turn, oops, gotta grab that elastic and get it out of the way again. Hold on, got my thread or my fabric kind of bunched up there. Okay, and then I'm going to stitch up to the elastic with the needle up. You never want to switch from zigzag to straight stitch with your needle down in your fabric. It's not good. And then I'm just going to go back and forth across that elastic a little bit, raise my needle back to a straight stitch, lengthen my stitch again, and then back to the pocket. Okay, so it does take some time, but it's worth it. And then see, we've got that red, you can see the red stitching along the, and it looks kind of, I don't know, I mean, it's the bobbin thread, like it's, so it looks a little messier than that, but I kind of want that. Like, I like it when it looks a little grungy. So if you're paying attention, you know that I've only stitched down 2 sides of each pocket. Okay, so like the back of this pocket isn't stitched. This is open, and then this side is open. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a stitch down here and then run another stitch down here. Okay. And I am going to back stitch the top of the pocket, and then again at the top of the cover. And then I just pull my thread out a little bit and then just go right into stitching this other side. So there we go. So then we can just kind of trim off any, thread that is hanging off that we don't like or whatever. But yeah, so once that is full of paper, that elastic should be a good width. This little corner right here, this little corner of fabric is kind of sticking up a little bit, so I might actually glue that down. But yeah, so it's pretty sturdy, and it's a lot more durable than this. Like, I would not be okay with stitching through this, or to sew in my signatures or anything like that, but this, I feel pretty good about it, and I feel like it's going to be durable. I might possibly spray these with like a clear coat, but if I do, it'll be a matte finish. I wouldn't use like a gloss clear coat on these. The other thing that I'm doing is just kind of taking, if there's any just like surface, I actually did that already on this one, but just using my baby wipe, because I'm addicted to baby wipes, and just kind of taking off any like surface dirt or, you know, dust or, you know, that kind of stuff with the baby wipe, and you'd be surprised how much that cleans it up. You do take off some of the actual color from the cover though, so don't sit there scrubbing it. Another thing that people will use is rubbing alcohol to clean book covers, because it evaporates right away, and it doesn't like soak into the cover as much as like something that's water-based does. So those alcohol wipes are good for cleaning, like if you are, you know, cleaning old vintage first editions or something like that. Like I wouldn't use baby wipes. I would use, you know, something like an alcohol wipe. But anyway, so that's the cover, and I'm pretty happy with them. You know, I think these are gonna be kind of cool. There's only, like I said, there's only 8 of them. So this is sort of like my monthly mini then for December. And I think what I'll do when I stitch the signatures in, I might come back and I'll do another video. I was thinking about doing another video putting together the signatures maybe. I don't know, but you guys have seen me do that lots of times. But how I'm going to stitch the signatures into these, because I'm going to work around the writing that's on the spine, so that I don't have any stitching going over it. So I'm going to do these little, like, almost like little staples when I stitch my signatures in. So anyway, and then I'm thinking, I don't know where I'm going to put the charm. I was thinking about maybe doing the charm on the spine instead of on the front cover. But this is actually the first time I've ever done elastic on, you know, in this way, this type of elastic on journal covers. So anyway, I'm glad I have this whole roll of elastic that I need to use. And those keys from Carla. So thank you so much for these, Carla. These are so awesome. I just love them. I almost don't want to use them, but I'm going to use them. I will. I'll have 2 left over. So anyway, okay, guys. Love you. And if you're waiting for a shipment from me, I apologize. I'm the slowest shipper on the planet. I know. But I've been trying to get my subscription kits put together that are actually for November and December together in one month, you know, in one shipment. So I've been trying to get those together. And then I went to print labels, and I wasn't able to print anything because the maintenance box on my printer was full. So I had to order one and wait for it to come in. Otherwise, all your stuff would have been shipped out like last week. So, or at least maybe by tomorrow. Anyway, so it's coming. I haven't forgotten your little kits and stuff that that I showed you last time I was here. So anyway, okay, guys, that's it. I love you, and I'll talk to you soon. Okay, bye. Thanks for coming.